Hello and welcome to Robinhood Challenge Episode 1. So similar to what I've been doing with my M1 Finance portfolio, I'm going to be tracking my progress with my Robinhood portfolio. So here is a preview of my Robinhood portfolio. As you can see, I actually invested quite a bit into this since you've last seen it at $100. So now it's over $800 and I'm really excited to watch this portfolio grow. My strategy is to mainly invest in index funds and ETFs in this portfolio, regardless of what the market is doing. Again, this portfolio also has an emphasis on diversification. So my biggest two strategies right now are diversification and dollar cost averaging. For my individual stock picks, I'm only buying shares when they're on sale. Is that the right terminology? That's not the right terminology. I just got Verizon stock on clearance. But basically, if the stock is down, then I'll buy into it, but mainly I want to invest solely in low-cost index funds. This portfolio, like my M1 Finance portfolio, is also pretty aggressive. But because I have a long time horizon as a 25-year-old, I actually have a higher risk tolerance. So without further ado, here are my index funds, ETFs, and individual stocks in my Robinhood portfolio. Starting with my index fund of choice, I chose the Vanguard Total Stock Market ETF, otherwise known as VTI. VTI till I die. VTI tracks the entire stock market and consistently averages about 6 to 8% per year for growth. So it's a pretty good option. My next index fund is the Technology Select Sector, SPDR, SPDR. This position tracks the S&P 500 technology stocks. I 100% believe that technology will continue to grow, hence why I chose to invest in this stock. Even if everything crashes, technology will always continue to advance as it has done time and time again throughout history. And next, we have the iShares Global Clean Energy ETF. This tracks an index of the 30 most liquid companies involved in clean energy. I think that this position will do well given that many of our presidential candidates emphasize clean energy. So hopefully, if my hunch is right, this ETF will do well in the upcoming years. Plus, this position actually matches my personal moral opinion on prioritizing renewable energy. And finally, I have two positions that are on my watch list that I am aiming to buy. First, we have the S&P Global, which is kind of the benchmark for investing markets around the world. And I also at some point want to invest in the Vanguard S&P 500 ETF, which tracks large and mid-cap stocks for the 500 biggest companies in the US. I really want these companies, but they are expensive to invest in at this time. So that is why I am so freaking excited for Robinhood to introduce fractional shares. It needs to happen like now. Now on to my individual stock picks. Like I mentioned earlier, I only plan on buying more shares of individual companies when they're down, but my strategy is to mainly invest in index funds. Sorry, there's like construction in the background, so I apologize. Now on to my individual stock picks. Like I mentioned earlier, I only plan on buying more shares of individual companies when they're down. But my strategy is to invest in index funds regardless of what the market is doing. Just remember, guys, that time in the market is better than timing the market. So, yeah, words of wisdom. But without further ado, here are my stock picks. Ally Bank, American Airlines, Verizon, Luckin Coffee, Hyatt, Equitable Holdings, Target, and on my watch list, I have Toyota and Boeing. If you watched the first episode of my M1 Finance Chronicles video and compare the stocks in those videos to the individual stocks that I have here in my Robinhood portfolio, I actually have a ton of parallels. For example, Delta and American Airlines are both domestic airlines, Hilton and Hyatt are both hotels, Starbucks and Luckin Coffee, both coffee shops, and Disney and Target, which are both magical places. But that way, if one of my competitors from a portfolio is beating the picks that I chose in that portfolio, I'm still winning. But in all seriousness, here's the reasoning for my stock picks. First up is Ally Bank. It is a financial institution that offers insurance, mortgage, and automotive loans, and most notably, its competitive high yield savings account. I chose this stock because as people become more knowledgeable about finance, Ally Bank is a well-known option for a high yield savings account. Next up is American Airlines. This position actually parallels my wish list for Boeing stock. Since Boeing is down, American Airlines is also down. So I grabbed a share while it was still up. I think that American Airlines has a good handle on the economy flight market, and I do predict that people will choose cheaper options in the future. I also think that the newer planes in American Airlines fleet will use less fuel and require less maintenance than some of their competitors, thus keeping costs down. My next position is Verizon. Verizon is well known for their broad coverage as a wireless carrier, and it has a large customer base. So I think that profitability will continue to grow. The dark horse in my portfolio here is actually Luckin Coffee. Like Starbucks, it is a coffee shop smartly located in commercial areas with usually a high demand for coffee. It's headquartered in China and actually seems to be competing pretty well with Starbucks, which is just wild to me. So I figured I would just grab a share here and see how I do. Next up is Hyatt, which is actually another hotel company with competitive travel rewards and offering one of the best redemption values as a Chase travel partner. And as Hyatt's global footprint continues to grow, I'm predicting that they will continue to grow, and so will this portfolio. Another dark horse here is Equitable Holdings, a financial services company which IPO'd in 2018. Well known for helping customers reach retirement goals and offering insurance policies and offering tax optimization strategies. Equitable is actually a really attractive stock for me. And lastly, we have Target, which was honestly an impulse buy. The reason it was an impulse buy was because the stock actually dropped pretty sharply after the holidays, and I ended up buying a share here as the stock plummeted. I actually don't think that Target is going anywhere anytime soon, and I think that Target is pretty good at adapting to an ever-changing market with new consumer demands. And on my wish list is Toyota and Boeing. Toyota is often the benchmark by which other automotive companies compare their products to. I think that Toyota is actually being really smart with their new 2020 Corolla model as well as their 2020 Prius. And they just invested millions of dollars into a flying taxi startup. So this will be interesting. And finally on my wish list is Boeing. Well known as an aircraft production company fulfilling demands for aerospace products, Boeing will definitely shine as the market continues to grow. I think that honestly, the aircraft supply market is going to be a monopoly, and we have no choice but to be dependent on aircraft supply things in the future. So yeah, that is my Robinhood portfolio right now. I'm actually really excited to see how this grows, and I'm excited to see how much it already has grown, Last month, I only started with $100, and now I'm over $800 in this portfolio, and the portfolio itself just looks a lot more interesting. So really excited to see how my channel continues to grow. My channel's been growing, and I am so thankful for all of you guys that have been watching me through this journey. So yeah, stay tuned for episode 2. Bye, guys.